Dear student, today we shall discuss another myeloproliferative disorder that is known as myelofibrosis. So this is the last myeloproliferative disorder we have to discuss. So myelofibrosis, it is a rare disease. It is characterized by three main features. The features are: first, the bone marrow undergo fibrosis of variable extent. The second important fact is, in this condition there is extramedullary hemopoiesis, means there is formation of hemopoietic cells outside the bone marrow, especially in the liver, in the spleen, in the lymph node, due to proliferation of hemopoietic stem cells. And the third feature is that in this condition there is proliferation of myeloid series, especially granulocyte component and megakaryocytic component. Erythroid series is almost it is suppressed or it is not affected. So these three features: first, the bone marrow fibrosis, extramedullary hemopoiesis, and proliferation of granulocyte along with megakaryocyte. These are the three main changes that is seen in this condition known as myelofibrosis. Laboratory findings has got a very important triad, three main features in this condition, and that are: first, there is teardrop pyclocytosis. The RBC has changed their morphology in their variation in the shape, and there is formation of teardrop like RBC. This is a very pathognomic and important laboratory finding in case of myelofibrosis. The second laboratory finding, that is known as leukoerythroblastic reaction in the blood. In the previous examination, there has been seen that WBC count is going to increase and there is presence of sometime promyelocytes and myelocytes. So leukoerythroblastic reaction is seen. And third is, there is abnormal large giant platelets. So these three previous finding, peripheral blood smear examination finding, or you can say laboratory finding, this is a triad, and that is a very much diagnostic finding in case of myelofibrosis. What are they? First, teardrop RBC pyclocytosis. Second, there is giant or abnormal platelet, and third, there is leukoerythroblastic reaction. So these three laboratory findings is very much helpful in diagnosis of myelofibrosis, as well as it is also helpful in the differentiating myelofibrosis from other chronic myeloproliferative disorder. Another important fact, that the primary myelofibrosis, as the clear from the name, that primary or it is idiopathic because the etiology is unknown, but it has been seen that cytogenetic study shows that this primary myelofibrosis is again associated with mutation like JAK2 mutation in 50% of the cases, and in the 5% of the cases they are associated with another mutation, that is MPL, capital MPL, and CALR mutation. So this is a association of cytogenetic changes in case of myelofibrosis like other chronic myeloproliferative disorder. Another type of myelofibrosis is sometimes secondary, means it is associated with the other causes, secondary causes in the bone marrow. Like sometimes this myelofibrosis is associated with or as a complication of other chronic myeloproliferative disorder like CML, essential thrombocytosis, polycythemia vera, तो कभी कभी ये इसके साथ या एज ए कॉम्प्लिकेशन भी हो सकता है। सेकेंडरी कॉज लाइक some of the infection or infiltration in the bone marrow, or sometimes secondary or metastatic bone tumor that involve the bone marrow, and sometimes it may be associated with prolonged exposure of radiation or chemotherapy or even chemical carcinogen exposure. So these are the secondary cause. Sometimes it may be associated with tuberculosis or fungal infection, SLE, or it sometimes associated with hairy cell leukemia or Hodgkin's lymphoma, or even in the HIV infection. So these are the variable secondary causes of myelofibrosis. But in all these conditions, the secondary cause, they are not associated with the cytogenetic abnormality or any mutation in the JAK2 or MPL or CALR mutation. So these are the secondary myelofibrosis. Now come to the etiopathogenesis. Again, like other chronic myeloproliferative disorder, the etiopathogenesis is still unknown. But the most important initiating pathogenesis is that the cytogenetic study shows that it is associated with a certain mutation like JAK2 mutation or MPL mutation. This is the proved finding or association with occurrence of myelofibrosis. But the most important pathognomic lesion in the myelofibrosis is the fibrotic changes in the bone marrow. And this fibrosis is mainly composed of collagen fiber and reticulin fiber that replaces the hemopoietic stem cell in the bone marrow. So this fibrosis is the initial factor that initiated the onset of myelofibrosis. It has been seen that this fibrosis is due to the overproduction of certain growth factors like platelet derived growth factor, transforming growth factor beta type, or sometimes vascular endothelial growth factor that causes angiogenesis. So due to the influence, due to the overproduction or due to the increase of this growth factor, they causes formation of fibrotic changes inside the bone marrow. So when the bone marrow undergo fibrosis, the hemopoietic stem cells are either replaced or it is suppressed. Then there is another changes is going to start. What changes? That there is myeloproliferative changes start in the hemopoietic stem cell outside the bone marrow, and outside like in the spleen, like in the liver, and like in the lymph node, there is formation of hemopoietic stem cell, and that lead to the hemopoiesis. So in this way the disease is going to develop. This hemopoiesis basically involve mainly the granulocyte component. Proliferation involve mainly granulocyte component and megakaryocytic component that lead to the increase in the platelet count, abnormal formation of abnormal platelet, and erythroblastic reaction is going to seen here. Erythroid series is not going to affected, or it is almost always it is going to suppress. So the patient may be suffer with anemia. So in this way, when the whole bone marrow is replaced by the collagen or reticulin fiber, the bone marrow may be suppressed or it may be failed even. So that is why your patient may suffer with anemia, leukopenia, and thrombocytopenia as the disease progress and in the late stage when the fibrosis is in more advanced stage. So it is clear from these changes that initially the bone marrow is hypercellular because the fibrosis is not showing occurred in large amount. But as the disease progresses, when the fibrosis is in advanced stage in the bone marrow become hypocellular. It is either failure or even it is suppressed. So when we do bone marrow examination in the late stage, you are not going to find any cell in the bone marrow because it is replaced by the collagen and reticulin fiber. So these are the pathogenesis, how the disease is going to develop. Now, the myelofibrosis is again like other chronic myeloproliferative disorder. It occurs in 40 to 50 years of the age. Onset is progressive, and the clinical manifestation is occurs in different way from the bone marrow changes and from the extramedullary hemopoiesis. So, due to the extramedullary hemopoiesis, which is a very predominant finding in myelofibrosis, the liver is mainly affected, and the liver undergo hepatomegaly. There is jaundice, there is occurrence of portal hypertension, and this is manifested in the form of esophageal varices or even in the form of ascites. So liver is going to involve, lymph node is also going to involve. So lymph node enlarges, a spleen undergo extramedullary hemopoiesis site. So a spleen size is going to increase. Your patient is progressively anemic and anemic. There is thrombocytopenia also. So their platelet is abnormal in function. So there is bleeding tendency. So in this way, a variety of manifestation is going to develop in the patient, like anemia, like bleeding tendency, like infection, splenomegaly, hepatomegaly, hyperuricemia is also seen here, lymphadenopathy is sometimes seen here, and the bone marrow show fibrotic changes. So these are the variety of manifestation that can be seen in case of myelofibrosis. Usually diagnosis is again confirmed by the laboratory findings like the peripheral blood smear examination, and the peripheral blood smear examination shows that the hemoglobin concentration is no doubt it is deficient or decreased. There is anemia of mild or moderate variety or severity. The RBC morphology is very important here. I have already told you that RBC shows pyglocytosis in the form of teardrop RBC. The number is going to decrease because the erythropoiesis is going to suppress here. The second, the WBC series shows that there is number is going to increase, and increase or it may be decrease also in the last stage when the bone marrow become hypocellular. So it may be decrease. So the WBC count may increase, may decrease, or may be normal also. So this is variable according to the fibrotic changes in the bone marrow. Initially the bone marrow is hypercellular, so the total count may increase. So in this way it is variable, but the most important finding is that in the peripheral blood smear there is presence of promyelocytes, and myelocytes are seen in the peripheral blood smear examination, and there is sometimes basophilia. So this type of finding is known as erythroblastic reaction, which is very important finding in case of myelofibrosis. Another changes, that is platelet series. The platelet is very much giant and degranulated. Platelet count is slightly either it may be normal or it may be increased or it may be decreased. So again it is variable. So this finding, platelet finding, WBC finding, and RBC finding, these three findings are very much helpful in the diagnosis of myelofibrosis, and it is also helpful from differentiating the myelofibrosis from the other chronic myeloproliferative disorders. So far the bone marrow is concerned, again I told you that in the initial stage the bone marrow is hypercellular, but as the disease progresses it becomes hypocellular. The fibrosis is so advanced that if you do aspiration, there is dry aspiration is seen here. So the aspirate material does not show diagnostic, so you go for the bone marrow biopsy in this condition, and the biopsy shows the two stage of the bone marrow, either in the pre-fibrotic stage or in the fibrotic stage. So if the bone marrow is in pre-fibrotic stage, it is hypercellular. There is predominancy of the megakaryocyte series, myeloid series undergo hyperproliferative changes, and there is decreased erythropoiesis and there is absence of reticulin or collagen fiber. So this type of bone marrow picture is known as pre-fibrotic changes in the myelofibrosis. But as the disease advances, the fibrosis, the collagen and reticulin fibers are in much more amount. So the bone marrow become hypocellular, and that is known as fibrotic stage of bone marrow. So in this condition, the bone marrow is hypocellular. So this type of finding is seen in the bone marrow. That depends upon the duration and severity of the disease in which stage the bone marrow is present, either in the pre-fibrotic region stage or in the fibrotic stage. So this is bone marrow picture. The important differential diagnosis is made by other chronic myeloproliferative disorder. तो अदर क्रोनिक माइलोप्रोलिफरेटिव जिस भी हम लोग पढ़े हैं उससे इसको डिफ्रेंशिएट करना रहता है, क्योंकि द क्लिनिकल प्रेजेंटेशन इज वेरी मच सिमिलर इन ऑल 4 टाइप ऑफ क्रोनिक माइलोप्रोलिफरेटिव डिजॉर्डर. द क्लिनिकल प्रेजेंटेशन इज वेरी मच सिमिलर. सब में लगभग वहीं एनीमिया, वहीं थ्रोम्बोसाइटोपेनिया, वहीं ब्लीडिंग टेंडेंसी, more infection, your patient is suffer with unexplained fever, weakness, lethargic, weight loss, anorexia, night sweating due to the hypermetabolism, due to the hyperuricemia, there is joint problem. So splenomegaly is markable, hepatomegaly is seen. So in all proliferative disorders, myeloproliferative disorder, the clinical presentation is more or less similar. We are not able to differentiate or diagnose only on the basis of clinical finding. So you must take the laboratory finding. That is the only tool for the differentiation and for the confirmation of diagnosis. So in case of myelofibrosis, I have already discussed the laboratory picture. If confusion occurs, we can do for the cytogenetic study, and by this correlation, clinical presentation, laboratory findings and cytogenetic finding, we are 100% able to confirm a case of myelofibrosis. So if you have to differentiate myelofibrosis from the other myeloproliferative disorder, you must take the help of the PBS finding and laboratory findings. Like फ्रॉम द CML कैसे हम लोग डिफ्रेंशिएट करेंगे, तो CML में क्या होता है, CML में मेनली क्या होता है, WBC टोटल काउंट इज गोइंग टू इंक्रीज इन मच मोर नंबर, बट यू हैव सी दैट इन माइलोफाइब्रोसिस WBC काउंट इज वेरिएबल. प्लेटलेट काउंट भी CML में क्या रहता है, या तो नॉर्मल रहेगा या इंक्रीज या डिक्रीज रहेगा. हिमेटोक्रिट लेवल जो होगा वो या तो नॉर्मल रहेगा या डिक्रीज रहेगा. RBC नॉर्मल रहता है, नॉर्मोक्रोमिक रहता है, और द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट इज दैट इट इज एसोसिएटेड विथ BCR and ABL fusion gene. So by this picture we can differentiate myelofibrosis from CML. पॉलीसाइथेमिया वेरा से अगर कन्फ्यूजन है तो वहाँ भी ब्लड पिक्चर हम लोग देख करके समझ सकते हैं. अगर पॉलीसाइथेमिया वेरा होगा तो WBC काउंट नॉर्मल रहेगा या इंक्रीज रहेगा. RBC काउंट बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ा रहेगा. प्लेटलेट काउंट या तो नॉर्मल रहेगा या इंक्रीज रहेगा. हिमेटोक्रिट ऑलमोस्ट ऑलवेज इंक्रीज, एंड द साइटोजेनेटिक स्टडी शो दैट इट इज एसोसिएटेड विद सब्जेक्ट टू म्यूटेशन. So in this way, the polycythemia vera is confirmed and is differentiated from the myelofibrosis. उसी तरह हम लोग एसेंशियल थ्रोम्बोसाइटोसिस की बात कर रहे हैं. तो एसेंशियल थ्रोम्बोसाइटोसिस में क्या होगा, WBC नॉर्मल रहेगा या इंक्रीज रहेगा. RBC नॉर्मल मार्कोलॉजी लिए रहेगा. प्लेटलेट बहुत ही ज़्यादा बढ़ा रहेगा और हिमेटोक्रिट लेवल लगभग नॉर्मल रहेगा. साइटोजेनेटिक तो लगभग सब्जेक्ट से एसोसिएटेड होता है. तो इन दिस वे एसेंशियल थ्रोम्बोसाइटोसिस कैन ऑल्सो बी डिफ्रेंशिएटेड फ्रॉम माइलोफाइब्रोसिस. द अनदर डिफरेंशियल डायग्नोसिस इज मेड फ्रॉम माइलोडिस्प्लास्टिक सिंड्रोम. दैट टॉपिक विल बी डिस्कस इन नेक्स्ट क्लास, बट हियर समटाइम DD इज मेड थ्रू फ्रॉम माइलोडिस्प्लास्टिक सिंड्रोम, एंड इन दिस कंडीशन माइलोडिस्प्लास्टिक सिंड्रोम the most important findings that differentiate myelofibrosis are that in MDS, myelodysplastic syndrome, there is no organomegaly, number one. There is no pyknocytosis, number two. There is absence of, there is presence of a small dysplastic megakaryocyte. There is presence of a small dysplastic megakaryocytes, and there is dyserythropoiesis. So in this way, by this finding, we differentiate MDS, myelodysplastic syndrome, from myelofibrosis. And other secondary causes of myelofibrosis is again differentiated from the primary myelofibrosis by their own finding, their own laboratory finding, own clinical finding, like Hodgkin's lymphoma, hairy cell leukemia, metastatic bone tumor, these chronic infection. So these can be differentiated from the myelofibrosis by their own findings. So in this way, the differential diagnosis of myelofibrosis is made. So although the myelofibrosis is a rare disease, but it is very important for your examination point of view, because in the university examination a short notes may be asked, and in the MCQ based examination many objective questions are asked on this topic, especially their laboratory finding, triad laboratory finding, that is teardrop phagocytosis, erythroblastic reaction, and giant platelet. So these three findings and the three changes, pathognomic lesion in the myelofibrosis, that fibrotic changes in the bone marrow, extramedullary hemopoiesis, and the myeloproliferation of the granulocyte and megakaryocyte. So these three pathognomic lesion and pathognomic three laboratory findings is very important for the diagnosis, for the differential diagnosis of myelofibrosis. So this is all about myelofibrosis. In the next class, we shall discuss myelodysplastic syndrome. So till, thank you.